On test this month, hearing protection. We've got Mutt and Jeff here.
Sorry, darling. Do what?
On the high seat for the hard of hearing. Suit you. With so much retail therapy happening online, we talk hunting clothing sizes. Are you finding one size doesn't fit all? I visit a military tailor who measures up some off-the-peg jackets for us. We hear from more of our gun shop gurus, and Johnny maps out the difference between the trajectory of a 177 and 22 pellet. Welcome to Fieldtester. Okay, so we're going to start with hearing protection. Something that some of you may not have worn all your lives and are now facing the consequences, aren't they, Mr. Lupton?
I don't know what you're saying. No, unfortunately.
Have you got them on?
I have, look, see? I'm sporting them.
So Roy has, very discreet actually.
They are, aren't they? Very lovely.
Hearing aids. Mm-hmm. Not the, well, they do whistle a bit, but why have you got them?
Because I was a very silly boy when I was younger and did an awful lot of shooting without hearing protection. I thought I was invincible. It's only as you reach some of you go past your 20s and into your 30s and you start to think, hang on a second. You think it's then an advantage because you can't hear the other half moaning so much, but then you do start to miss certain things like bird song and certain parts of conversation, and trying to have a conversation in a pub.
Do you actually wear hearing
an
protection
absolute pain
with a rifle?
I don't now. I should do, but obviously now we've got moderators.
When you started wearing hearing protection, was it purely for a shotgun though?
Mostly, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it was all for a shotgun. But again, when I was rifle shooting, again we didn't have moderators either.
When did moderators
at the very start?
When did they become sort of fashionable or were allowed?
Late 80s, to be 80, middle 90s probably.
Yeah.
So was this legislation or was this a trend?
No, beforehand it wasn't done. It wasn't allowed through health and safety. It was then allowed that we were allowed to apply for moderators and put moderators on our rifles.
So there's a whole generation that.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know that.
Okay, I mean, we used to. Yeah, I used to go out fox shooting all the time and blat away. So, yeah, it was.
And some of the smaller calibers are the
exactly
report is incredibly loud.
The 223s, treble twos, and
my hearing. I had it tested a while ago, and I've got a gap. I've got a gap in the middle there, which has been completely destroyed. Completely destroyed by.
Where in the middle?
Yeah, no, it's just a bit of my hearing is actually completely gone. And when I went to the hearing people, they said to me, "You're a shooter, aren't you?" I went, "Yes, yeah. You're 50 years-ish old, and that's gone, and that's shooting for you. That's guns."
And it doesn't come back, does it?
No. Once you've damaged it, there is no repairing it.
Yeah.
We've got some kit here today, which we've played with already. Do you find this comfortable? Comfort is a sort of, an important factor when it comes to this. If you're wearing it all day, I mean, I know with people with the inner ear stuff, it can give them headaches.
And again, I think you've got to get used to it a little bit. It's the same as when I started wearing the hearing aids. It's incredibly irritating. So it's just a case of getting used to it and learning to keep it in. Yeah. No, it doesn't take very long. And then once you do get used to it, and you're used to the amplification as well. Then it becomes a lot easier. But it surprisingly, it can be a little bit tiring to start with from the hearing aid perspective.
So we've been out to test these and compare them with what is not a lot of hearing and also what is suppressed hearing with foamies, but then looking at where we can pick up a sound. Now we've chosen a bell because when Roy was actually being tested for his hearing aid, we did this film. And it was 20 yards away where you couldn't hear that bell ringing, which was really, really shocking. But anyway, let's see what results we got with this. Hearing loss is a big issue amongst shooters. Hearing protection is the only way to avoid this. However, hunting to the best of your abilities requires all your senses. So we need kit that protects us, but doesn't isolate us from our environment. Today we will be field testing Pelter's active hearing protection to see if it makes our hearing impaired field testers better hunters. No, just explain the first test, okay? So the first test is...
Is what?
You got foamies.
I got foamies.
And you've got to raise your hand when you can hear the bells, because we're going to use the bells because that's what we used with your hearing test.
We did indeed. So, okay. Have we started this test?
Yes, we started.
Oh, we're filming. Okay.
We're not filming.
Excellent. All right. Would you like me to blindfold up?
Yeah, blindfold up
with the new Fieldsports channel snood.
Oh, funny you should have one of those.
There you go.
Amazing. They're available at any decent retailer. Well, actually, it's just the online shop. Oh, that's vast improvement. It's like giving birth.
There you go.
Can you see it? Have you got the foamies in?
What?
I'm going to go away with the bells. Can you hear them?
I can hear that, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go further away and then Tim's going to range find when you pick them up.
Well, I can hear them still.
I haven't gone anywhere yet.
Okay.
Oh, fine. No. What?
What?
Really?
What?
Pick them up there?
Yeah.
Here? You didn't hear them back over there?
No.
Should we range finder?
I think
Range finder 15 centimetres.
Hang on, Dave, stay. Right.
Are you serious?
I got foamies in. Yes, I am serious.
One thing about these foam inserts, I personally struggle with them because I wiggle them, I squeeze them, and I stick in my ear. Sometimes I actually lubricate them with a bit of spit. I stick them in there and I'm holding them and wait till they kind of expand. I just find them quite inconsistent sometimes. I struggle with this one at the moment, but now they're expanded, but they're just not the most uniform perhaps in some ways. It's just a personal observation with foamies, that's all.
Very smart. Okay. That shows.
He's deaf as a post.
Yes. And you're.
And I'm half
I can
deaf.
hear that without the thingies in.
Well, this is the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can
point.
hear
No, exactly.
The fact that we're now going to look at hearing protection not only as protecting your ears, but also in the hunting scenario, you're not going to miss out on that boar that basically came and nibbled your ankle before heading off, or in front of Tim was sort of.
Not going hunting with nibbling your ankles.
Right. Okay. So now we're going to try with some ear defenders.
Yeah, we're in. So we've got 3 volume settings on these, so we'll put them on the highest one, and there we go, we're alive. So that's volume at the highest setting point now. So I shall put on my blindfold and then we shall see where we can pick up the bells. That was absolutely superb. We picked up David wherever he was in the field with the bells. So we're going to turn the hearing protection down, or the volume down to the lowest setting, and just see what results that gives us.
So really not achieving
Are you puffed, darling? Okay, so as we saw with that, so with them on their lowest settings, we still picked that up. They're certainly working. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to do Tim with the over-ear protection on and see what we get with that.
So we've got the headsets, and I've got 2 special hats actually, which are designed to work with these. So we've got, you see on the sides there, it's got slimmer areas for the actual headphones to fit over the top. Okay, so it's completely sealed. Right, we're on maximum now.
Yeah.
I turn them down, yep. Okay, we're now on the lowest setting. Okay.
Oh, close.
That's interesting, wasn't it?
That's really close.
That's really close, isn't it? Yes.
Like that.
Yeah,
But I
on the
suppose-
highest setting, I can hear you quite easily.
But I suppose on a playground, for example,
Yeah, I mean, that's on the playground, for instance. You probably don't need to have a high setting because you know what's going on. But if you're hunting, you probably will do.
okay.
Can you hear somebody criticising your shooting from behind with them on though?
Doesn't matter. Sorry.
So anyway, some interesting results from that little experiment. Yes, managed to get within 15 centimetres of Mr. Lupton, which is a bit of a worry, but it shows that when you put in a foamy in, you are losing all those other peripheral senses that you're picking up, whether it's whether it's a boar or whether it's a dog or whatever.
Or a David.
Or a David. So it's all very well having this hearing protection, but actually you've got to use it properly, haven't you? And you've experienced it when you haven't.
Yes, yeah. So I think is the issue is that what we generally do is grab a pair of headphones, we stick them over our hat, we turn them on and we get on with it. The problem is that there's a gap in them, and that gap can allow 3 to 5 decibels of
So
sound.
you're talking about the rim here. On the
Yeah,
baseball
so basically on the baseball cap or even my hat here, which is even worse, so when I put it on, there's a huge gap. It's not really doing the job properly. And I think that by the sounds of it, all you need is a very, very small gap coming in. And I think 3 to 5 decibels you can let in, which is doubling the volume, which is...
be caught out.
I mean,
You get
this is
caught
the
out.
thing we were discussing about decibels earlier, which is I think a lot of people don't realise is, and as you said, it's not a linear curve, is it? So, I mean, if you just want to run through.
So
on
I'm
that.
led to believe that a 3 decibel is doubling the volume. So that's probably a more technical way of actually explaining it, but you are doubling the amount of damage perhaps going into your ear. I think that's the point.
So pelters say that unless you've got basically skin to cover there, but there's actually different covers there as well to actually create that better seal, isn't there?
That's right. So yes, with a peltor, you actually can get a silicone. You can take these off and just click these new ones on. These are silicone, so I think they kind of form to your head an awful lot more. But I think with a beanie hat like this, at the end of the day, it's not going to seal it, no matter what you do. Yeah. So I think if you've got a baseball cap, for instance, a simple cap like the hunting cap, it will make a massive difference to it, because that's actually now moulded around everything I've got. But I think ideally, we discussed this, is actually having a special hat perhaps in some ways, which is designed to take the headphone. So we talk about these special hats, and these have been especially developed by Peltor to accommodate the headsets, which is very, very good. Just pop them on there, and it actually will fold, and it seals it completely. And if you want to be a bit more trendy, there we go. I've got a hat here, normal kind of shooting hat, and actually there you go. And once again, it's completely sealed around my ears, and that's probably the ultimate protection. What?
Very good.
What?
Now, if you want a bit more style, I'm not saying those aren't stylish, of course, but then...
With the style of hat I use, trying to use the outside protection or the hearing protection. We can try, but I can pretty much guarantee it's not going to do an awful lot. So there we go. I don't think we're going to get a seal on that.
So the point we were making really is that with those foamies, you remove yourself from your environment, whereas these are still protecting your ear. I'm not saying the foamies don't protect your ear, they do to a certain extent, but these allow you to still experience the environment.
Well, yeah, I think the foamies are, they offer some of the ultimate protection, don't they? Because you've got absolutely no, there's no pressure wave going through there at all. So, yeah, from a protection standpoint, they are brilliant. But it just cuts you off from the world and everything that's going on around you. So there's no chance of having conversation. You've obviously then got possible safety issues with that as well, depending on what you're doing. If you can't hear neighbours to you or something else that's going on, or if you've got something big and nasty creeping up from behind, such as a David.
But this is it. If you're on a game, you're on a game shoot in this country, or you're driven shoot abroad, that safety element is really important, because you'll have beaters everywhere, you'll have dogs everywhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look through, even if you're going to Africa and stalking through, there, then obviously you want to be fully aware of what's going on. If there's something moving behind you, it could be absolutely anything. So.
What about disorientation? Do you think that when you're actually at that moment of taking a shot, for example, the adrenaline is pumping through your body so much that it doesn't matter if you've got anything on? you feel like sort of like almost it overtakes?
I think you definitely do. You definitely do, and that's the problem, I think, really, because you are literally you've got buck fever, you're on it, and it doesn't really matter. But no doubt the damage has been done.
Well, you wanted to try and bring in a more sort of realistic test, so he basically went pruning.
Okay, so obviously the bells are very distinctive and a very obvious sound to pick up. What I do want to do, and especially whilst we're in almost a real life situation, so the weather's quite inclement, which is normal for when we're out hunting. The rain's coming down, the wind's hitting us. But what I was quite keen to just try and figure out was what sort of distances when we're using the hearing protection is, what sort of distance you could pick up an animal walking through and maybe rubbing up against a bush. So we have a little branch that we've pulled out of the hedge.
What do you expect me to do with it?
Well, all I want you to do is rub yourself with it, darling. Now David's going to run around with it, just rub his clothing a little bit as if he's some old boar, and just see if we. The only unfortunate thing is I can definitely smell him before I'm going to hear him on this one, but especially as he's going to be upwind of me. But no, just scrape it down your clothing and just see if we can pick that up. So as I say, just as if it's an animal just moving through the forest floor or just rubbing up against the bush as it comes through. Yeah. 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 I picked up something there. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, we're going to do some animal noises.
Yep.
And you have to point at the direction in which they're coming from.
Okay.
And also identify the animal.
All right. So are we going to be on highest again?
Yeah.
A curious chicken?
Chicken?
A curious chicken, yeah.
That's a curious chicken.
A raspy woodpecker, a hairy woodpecker. I have no idea what that is.
Have you put some of these in yourself?
Do you have a hairy woodpecker? Okay, so we've got lost juvenile goat, that's what we'll go for.
Come on, let's put it in.
Okay. Not picking up the goat.
I can hear seagulls, I can hear a forklift.
Yeah.
The goat's going to creep up on it. Put the volume up.
I can hear a sheep.
Okay, so yeah, he got that. So quite relatively high volume. So he got that at number 8 on the volume. He said it was a sheep. So yeah, we'll give him that baby goat. He can go for sheep. So we'll try another one in a second.
Oh, yes.
Distressed calf.
But the thing is, actually, what it is when you're hunting, you are right on. Everything is on amplified. You're really waiting for that noise all the time, so you're hyper attentive.
Are you getting yourself in that mode right now?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just listening for every single thing. So. I can hear cattle over there. I can hear cattle over there. I don't know if that's Roy or not. There's something happening over there, which over the.
Okay, now point to exactly where you think they are. Pretty good.
Cattle.
Pretty good.
Is it cattle?
I think it is cattle.
Oh.
No, and again, the wind is obviously swirling it as well. But I mean, we went quite high on the volume on that one, so we got up to volume level 10 before Tim picked it up.
There's cattle over there. There's cattle over there. There's horses over there. I can hear a road. I can hear a forklift somewhere else. So your hearing's really on hyper all the time. So I think, yeah, if you know what you're listening for, it helps perhaps in some ways.
Give him a chance.
I don't know what it is. It sounds like a fox call or. Oh. Oh. Cat.
Cat. Okay. Well done.
What do we take from that then, Mr. Lupton? We have me with my bells at over 100 metres.
Yep.
So with your hearing aid and with the inner ear protection, you could hear it at that distance. Are you surprised by that?
I was actually. Yeah, no, I was very surprised. So bearing in mind that you've got that level of protection, and yet we're still able to pick up sounds at that distance. That was superb. But yeah, no, very impressive. I only wish I'd done that experiment about 40 years ago.
So we were very fortunate that Pelter were actually partly sponsoring a trip we did to Sweden with Aimpoint. Was it 2 years ago? Which was pretty lovely. But the test for you was when we were actually getting close to the animals and being able to pick up where they were and where the dogs were as well.
And I think what I did is, wearing the inner-ear protectors, is that when I was walking normally behind the guide and with you, I had them on the lower setting. But as I got closer and closer to the calf where we're trying to shoot and trying to get near it, I bumped them up to the higher setting. So I was on hyper alert, and it pulled all that sound into me. And it was absolutely remarkable, every single thing I can hear. So therefore it has its applications where you actually, if you want to just really be on top of your game, turn them up, it enhances your hearing, and you're on point, you're ready for it. And that's the adaptability, I think, of enhanced kind of hearing protectors.
But there are downsides too. What are the downsides for you?
What with having the hearing protection ramp dried up?
Yeah.
It just goes to show how noisy you are when you're stalking. when you are beside me or behind me, it is absolutely terrible.
I'm not going to have bells at me, am I?
What's
Not bells.
It's just you in the mud. I mean, I don't know. I've never ever come across a man with so much talent to actually be able to stand on every twig in the forest.
It's amazing we get anything at all, isn't it? You must be quite an incredible hunter.
Yeah. But he does make up for it with his eyesight, 'cause he tends to spot things before I can. Anyway.
And to be honest, my hearing.
No, your hearing is good.
Yeah. Sorry.
When we've been going into rutting stands.
I spotted that moose in Sweden.
I know, yeah.
And I'm trying to think. And I spotted that seeker as well. I spotted that seeker as well.
Huh? Which? That's because I was looking at the smaller one.
The only one was like, it's a Christmas tree. That was,
I was looking at the Christmas tree.
you were.
They were Christmas trees. No, not the stag.
Anyway, so basically my senses are far superior to you two.
Really?
Just happen to be slightly harder underfoot.
Your smell might be superior. But...
Anyway, we're not, sorry, the kids, right? I do apologise.
Right.
So yes, what did you find was problematic? You have this amazing now superpower. You have a new superpower. But are there negatives to the superpower?
There are. There are a few negatives.
You have to use it wisely.
No, again, and that's obviously we've got the volume settings on those. But when we were ramped up, so we were right at the top of the volume levels on those to pick up what was going on. Again, it was a windy day. We had the rain coming down, so it's that sensitive that you are picking up absolutely everything. So you're picking up that extra wind noise. You're picking up the rain. So. You've got to sort of try and figure it out, and you're just trying to tune in, and I think that's part of it. Again, it's just getting used to it, and you've just got to sort of filter through and learn to filter through for the noises that you want.
I think it just brings everything in.
Yeah.
So you have too much information coming in. And when we were testing, I can hear the chainsaws, which are probably about 3/4 of a mile away.
Yeah.
And I can hear some cattle in the shed within a half mile. The whole lot was coming in. So you had to assimilate and just kind of sift through it all.
Well, we didn't know about. We could sort of hear the cows, but we didn't take into consideration when Roy was pushing the button on the fox pro to produce a cow.
Cows.
And it's just like, so that just mingled into everything.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so it just drags everything in. And I think if you are a hunter, if you're in a wood or in any hunting situation, you will be tuned in. You will know exactly what perhaps to listen to. I think for us, we had so much noise around us that it's all coming in. But it is definitely one of those things. There's too much coming in sometimes, perhaps.
So having this type of enhancing hearing protection, do you think it's going to make you, it's going to give you more chances? Are you going to have more chances wearing this stuff than you would normally?
I think sitting in a high seat, if you're just sitting there and just waiting for something to come through, I think it will definitely help a lot. You'll certainly, if you're sitting out of an evening waiting for boar or something like that, then it's going to massively give you a huge advantage on time that you're going to hear the animals coming in from.
Yeah. So when you've gone bear hunting in Croatia and you've worn the foamies, we will know that's been the situation because basically you would not have heard anything, or the wolves just nibbling at you.
Exactly. No, we would have been chomped.
You'd have been chomped. Okay, I have to come with you then.
Yeah. You've got to be my Warner.
So thank you very much to Pelter, who provided us with all the kit for today's experiment and testing. We will be giving some of this kit away, but only to members. If you want to become a member of the Fieldsports Nation, then you need to go along to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv/membership, and you can find out all about it then. Now, not all hunting requires hearing protection. Johnny has been playing with his air rifles. What are we doing, Johnny?
So we're going to do a bit of target mapping today, or trajectory mapping rather. So we're going to compare between 177 and 22, and we're going to shoot over the effective range of the gun, which is basically out to 55 yards. And we're going to aim at the centre of every single one of these marker targets. So we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, all the way up to 55 yards. We're going to aim at the centre of every single one, same place, and we're going to see how the pellet will rise and fall on its way through its trajectory. And we'll directly compare 177 and 22, so you can see what's happening with each one. Crack on?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, so what are our 177 and 22s of choice then?
I bought with us this, which is a HW100 carbine thumbhole laminate stock adjustable cheek piece, 2-stage trigger. It's a regulated rifle. That's in 177. Give you 60 shots out of the cylinder per charge. It's a 14-shot magazine. That's the magazine there. And it's a side lever operation on the side here, self-indexing, so the mag automatically turns every time you do this. It's got quite a little interesting feature on this gun. It won't actually turn the magazine unless the gun is fired. Get something in pre-charged rifles called double loading, which we see quite a lot, where somebody's put a pellet into the breech, they've cocked the rifle, they've pushed it forward, then they have decided to do it again, and then sometimes they do it again, and then sometimes they do it 10 or 14 times, and they put 10 pellets directly into the barrel, and then they wonder why the gun doesn't work and bring it into us, and we have to melt all the lead out of the barrels. But this gun prevents you from doing that.
This is the 2.2?
This is the 2.2. This is absolute classic, this gun. It's one of my favourite air rifles on the market. This is an Air Arms S410. It's called the Super Light carbine. Again, short barrel, short cylinder. You get about 70 odd shots out of this cylinder at full charge. 10-shot magazine, 2-stage trigger. The stock is made from poplar wood, which is where they save weight. Basically, it's lighter than beech, lighter than walnut, about 15% lighter. So yeah, but great handling at rifle. Love these guns. They're just so lightweight, really responsive, and for vermin shooting, they're absolutely fantastic. Big fan. I owned. So this is the S410. I did the S510, which is like a side lever version, which is none too dissimilar from the Viroc. That's the S410, then I did an S310 before that, which was my first pre-charged air rifle back in 1990 something. And brilliant gun, absolutely fantastic gun. And the actual valving system inside this gun is maintained the same format for 20 odd years now, plus in fact. They've changed it slightly now, but basically the fundamental design is exactly the same, which is testament to how good it is, I think. If you've designed something and it works really well, no need to change. It's that good. When it comes to zeroing, I always say zero in at the distance you're most commonly going to shoot at. I tend to try and get myself, so I'm a vermin shooter really, I try and get myself to around about the 30-yard mark when I'm stalking in on stuff. Target shooters, 30, 35 yards are probably zero in, but it's important to know where your gun is going to shoot at all the various different distances. So if you're zeroed in at 30 yards and you go out in the field, you can guarantee if you're driving around shooting rabbits or you're walking around shooting rabbits, you'll have one that will run out of a hedgerow at 5 yards, 15 yards, 40 yards, 55 yards. It won't come out at 30 yards because that would be way too convenient. So you need to know exactly where they're going to shoot at all those different distances so that you can basically hold over, hold under, depending on where you are, so you know exactly where you're going. You want to make sure, spend time doing this exercise whenever you're out shooting in the field. If you're shooting anything live, you want to make sure that you one shot and you've humanely dispatched it, and it's of the greatest importance to spend time doing this so that you know and you're confident in your kit exactly where you're going at all those different distances, and you know exactly where to put that cross. So that's what this is all about. It's a really good way to boost your confidence with your kit and know where you're shooting at the different distances. You can, there's turrets now for dialing in, there's ballistics programs that you can use, which are all very, very accurate indeed, but I think there's no better way than actually going out and physically undergoing a test so that you can see, you can read all the ballistics you want, but actually physically going out and doing it. There's so many different varying factors that will change the trajectory of your pellet or your bullet. You've got centre line of your scope above your barrel, you've got the weight of the pellet or the bullet that you're using, the length of the barrel, the speed of your live round cartridge. So it's very important, I think, to go out and do this test. And it's also, what we'll do is we'll collect all these up afterwards. You can either photograph them or keep them in a file, because you do forget things over time, or if you're running a few different rifles, you think, oh, where was that calibre shooting? But if you collect these up and put them in a file, you've got like basically a map of the trajectory of the pellet that you can revert back to and kind of refresh yourself, which is nothing but a good thing. If you're a bit forgetful, good test. If you're a dad and you've been kept up all night because you're playing Tooth Fairy, then yeah, this is the one. Right, so I'm going to wind this right down now. 6 times mag, we'll start off with the 2-2. So we'll go right hand target. There she goes. So I see a lot of people do this, been out rabbit shooting with many people over the years, and something will come out really, really close and they'll shoot under its feet because they don't realise that the closer distances your pellet or your bullet is striking out a lot lower. So that's basically the first point of the trajectory at 5 yards, and then we're going to move. I'm just going to click that over to the left one. 10 yards. See how we've come up now? Right, 15, you ready? So between 10 and 15, we don't need to worry about that. 15, 20 yards. Really starting to drop down now. Line was good, but we are dropping. And then finally, 55. So wind this down again. She's low. Getting higher. Nearly there. 25 yards. 30 yards. A little bit off. 40. Starting to drop again. 55. So 177 on the left, 22 on the right. Centre to centre. We've dropped 26.43 mil. Sorry, we're basically shooting here, so the pellet's striking out underneath the sight line, 26.43 at 5 yards. And then with the 2-2, we are 20.10. This is probably going to be changed by the distance of the scope. If that's the scope centre line there, and your barrel centre line is there, obviously different scopes, different objective lens sizes, different height mounts is going to change that. That's going to have a direct effect on this. So again, another good reason to undertake the target test. 5 yards, right, 10. Fifth shade under 16 mil, 15.96, and the 2-2 is basically pretty much there now, isn't it? 7.65. So the two are coming up to meet each other. And we'll go to 15. Your 2.2 is pretty much smack on. In fact, it's starting to go a little bit high now by about 3 mil, something like that. And your 177 is just a little bit under still, 8.5 mil at 15. 20 yards. 2.2 starting to raise up, so the pellet's starting to rise up above the sight line now. So your scope's always looking in a straight line, your pellet starts up underneath it, goes over the top of it, and then comes back down through it. So now we're at 10 mil. Oh, yeah, about 10 mil centre to centre, maybe a little bit less. And the 177 is pretty much absolutely smack on the button. Slightly off to the side, but that's my fault. Right, 25 yards. So your 2.2, I'll probably pull that off slightly, that's me. 177 has risen up slightly, 25 yards, by nothing to worry about, put it like that, but 4 mil, just over. 30 yards. So this is the 0 point. I pulled that off, or the wind's just pushed it off to the right hand side slightly. And your 2.2 is now starting to come back down now. .34, it's just dropped down slightly. I mean, we're zeroed at 30, so I don't know whether maybe the wind's just pushed that down slightly. 35 yards, 177, aiming here. Again, nothing to really worry about. Your 2.2 starting to head downward. So we're dropping just under 19 mil at 35 yards. 35, yeah, 35, 30, just under 36. Centre to centre, and look at your 177 now. 14.5. So you're big. Just looking at it without even measuring it, you can see you're pretty much half the drop on the 177 in comparison to your 2.2. And we'll see what happens a bit further out. 29.93. I mean, look at that compared to your 2.2. You've got that. Again, it's double the drop, 45 yards. Your 177 is shooting half of your 2.2 in terms of drop. So when you look at a rabbit or whatever you're shooting at, and you think, right, that's 35 yards away. If you're looking between these two now with 2.2, especially at the longer ranges, if you're literally 5 yards out either side of your mark and you incorrectly judge your distance, it can be, the difference between completely missing your target or wounding your target, which is something that you do not want to do. You've got more chance of doing that, I'll be totally honest, with a 2.2. Look at the variance in drop here. You've got a much bigger, there's more room for error if you don't get your distance judgment correct. 177 is a flatter shooting trajectory. We're seeing across this, we're at 45 yards now, it's half the drop of the 2.2. If you do misjudge your distance slightly, we'll look at between 45 and 50 yards, what the difference is between these two, and also, interestingly, between the 2.2. So we've got 62 mil drop. You're going to have to remember this, David. 62 mil against, let's say, 29 mil.
I think you're missing a sales trick here.
Go on.
I think if you're selling 2.2s, you could be selling rangefinders at the same time.
We have them in stock. Yeah, so 62 being there, we've dropped just over 5 yards between 45 and 50. You've dropped another, it's just under 30 mil, under 3 centimetres. If you're trying to shoot a pigeon in the head, something like that, you've missed it. Whereas your 177, what were we, 30, so 4 point, just over 4.5 mil between those two distances. So again, and the gap's getting even bigger now by the looks of things as well. So go to the last one.
Good grief, Johnny.
Can you film that for me?
Next.
Next. So what do we got here? Right, so
Wow.
110 mil as opposed to, we'll take the average of those. Well, say 70 mil. What are your thoughts after seeing that, David?
Thing is, with the 2.2, it's almost more satisfying and more challenging to shoot it.
Yeah, it's you have to be more exacting, definitely.
So maybe a more experienced air rifle shooter might go for a 2.2 because they're pushing their own.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. And some people are just like, we get customers coming that they're just dedicated 2.2 fans. It's like, that's what I've had since I was a young lad. That's what I shoot.
But you would have to know your kit.
You know your kit. I know what it's doing. They've done this. They know exactly. You know, you're always working off the same muzzle energy. So, okay, you're going to maybe difference in height line above barrel of your scope setting if you've got different scopes on different outfits. But basically, once you've learnt this in each calibre, it's going to stay in and around the same area. So, yeah, we do get the dedicated 2.2 purists, and that's what they want. But
as far as animal welfare is concerned, if you were a pigeon, what would you be wrong?
Well, neither, to be honest with you, David. If I was a pigeon, I'd probably say no. I wouldn't rather any. Thank you very much. But if I did have to choose,
sorry, I've never put anyone in this position before.
If I did have to choose, I think it would be a 177. Yeah. And someone very competent shooting, please, if that's all right. I think the biggest message is, when you buy an air rifle, no matter what calibre, whether it's a pre-charge, whether it's a Springer, if you're target shooting, this is a great exercise to perform. I think more importantly, if you're going to go out and you're going to start shooting vermin, you need absolutely to do something like this. If you're going to go out into the field and shoot something, two things that are major to me is, one, eat what you shoot. Don't just shoot things for the sake of shooting it. Obviously rooks and crows, although we did try some rooks not too long ago, didn't we? Yeah, eat what you shoot, but also more importantly is know where your kit's going. It's a big no-no. Don't just go buy an air rifle if you're a novice or fairly amateur and just go straight out in the field and start shooting. You need to know your kit. You need to see exactly what you're doing at every single given distance. You've got to be fair to what you're shooting at, and this is the way to do it.
How was the rook, by the way?
Yeah, it was all right. No, it wasn't. No.
Thank you, Johnny. Now, that is an experiment that we did many moons ago, and I think we touched on it maybe the Fieldtester before last, but really important to know your ranges and to understand the drop-off with your 177 or 2.2.
Exactly, no, massively. And again, I mean, we do get that in the hunting field with normal rifle shooting as well, but bow hunting and using air rifles, you've got to be incredibly precise with your range, because misjudging your range by 5 or 10 metres at certain ranges could be the difference between a hit or an ethical kill and a miss.
Okay. You've just been given a day state. What model is it?
It's a Wolverine R.
Okay, so you've got the Wolverine R. We're going to do some fun and we'll have some fun and games with that soon. You zeroed it the other day, but you were quite interested about how its trajectory. See, I can say it. Trajectory mapping was like.
You're just showing off.
First impressions, basically, took it out of the box. It had been very kindly been zeroed already for me. I tested it at about 15 metres, and it was absolutely fine. Then I stretched it across the base of the garden and see what the drop was. And I was actually quite pleasantly surprised that there was actually little or no drop out to about 35 yards. So once again, I'm intrigued. I shall be spending more time with the rifle, testing it, reviewing it, see how I get on. But yes, at the moment, a very capable air rifle.
And that's just a standard sub 12 foot pound.
And that's a standard 12 foot pound air rifle in 177. Impressive.
Very pretty it is too.
And consistent. That's what it's all about.
Right, now for something completely different. Clothing. A lot of us have been buying our clothing online for obvious reasons. Some of it fits, some of it doesn't, and then it has to be sent back, which is a massive cost to the manufacturer or distributor. Anyway, I've been to a tailor in London to find out whether a large is a large, a medium or a small.
One way to save the high street is to make the shopping experience an event. And that's what we're in for by visiting a very special tailor to help us with a bit of Fieldtester consumer advice. Jonathan Macintyre is a military tailor in the British Army. He's also a hunter who makes bespoke traditional shooting clothing. Jonathan is based at the Wellington Barracks right next to Buckingham Palace, and we've asked him to measure up a couple of off-the-shelf shooting jackets to get a sense of sizing, which can be a huge headache when ordering online.
Okay, Jonathan, I've brought a couple of jackets, off-the-shelf jackets. They're both large.
They are, yes. We'll
Can you just do sort of a bit of a measurement for me and just see whether there's sort of any sort of comparison? But you've already said that there's variation anyway.
So there'll always be a fudge factor, we could put it, or within specification. So the same as anything, you know, whether it be gun making, building houses, garments, there will be a certain amount of plus or minus. But the difference being from one producer to the next, it can be incredibly vast and varied. You can buy a ceiling jacket and it'll fit you perfectly, and then next year you decide, I'm going to go buy myself an Allen pen. You buy the same size and it mightn't be nowhere near you, whether too small or too big. So the big thing to look for is the sizes in chest. So it's fine saying it's a large jacket, but what is a large in that line of jacket or that brand of jacket? So from Ridgeline, we can see that across the chest, if we go armpit to armpit, which is always reference point to reference point. So if we take this here and we run my measuring tape across, we are 24 3/4 inches, which is going to be 49 inches for a large, which is quite generous, but obviously we need to take into consideration it's going to be worn over the top of fleeces and jackets, etc. So if we do the same on the Shooter King, which is, once again, it's a large again, point to point, and we are 26 inches. So that's a good 1 1/4 inches, which then equates to close to 3 inches of a difference just across the chest. And then waistline again, these are actually quite generous jackets because you've got the actual draw cords in there, so that's 26 again, and I probably won't be surprised if this is the same. This is 23.5, so it scales down slightly, but not dramatically. And then sleeve, so these are what we call a raglan styled sleeve, where there is no shoulder. As you can see on a sartorial jacket, you've got a shoulder there. On most shooting or field coats, you have a raglan sleeve, which is, it's all in one. There's no yoke to the jacket, it just comes down in one. So we would have to take it from the collar point there and run it down, if it will behave itself. And as we can see here, we have 32.5 inches. And we'll just double check here. And we'll do the same with this one, although it does have a yoke. We'll do the same because it is quite straight cut. It's not sartorial. They don't have a shoulder pad or anything in there, so we can do the same. So we're 32.5 there, so that I don't forget the numbers. And on this, are you ready? We are 34.5, so we're 2 inches longer in the sleeve on this.
So have you got any advice for people for buying online? Because that's where a lot of people are buying their kit now for obvious reasons.
So the massive thing is, there's nothing worse for retailers than they're always there to please, but there's nothing worse than sending something out. Someone thinks I'm a large. I went down to George or whatever and I bought myself a couple of t-shirts on the weekend. I bought large t-shirts and they fitted me fine, so I'll be a large in this Shooter King jacket. The best advice you can do is go onto the Shooter King website, scroll down to the bottom, and there is always going to be a tab there that says sizing guide. Especially with things like European sizes and Scandinavian sizes, you have to be able to convert that from whether it be inches to small, medium and large, And then small, medium, large to European sizes, 32 to 50 and beyond is what it may be. That will then give you the specifications of that jacket. So it will say that a large in that Shooter King, like that, it's the best part of 50 inches, close to. That wouldn't necessarily fit me. It would probably be too big on me. I'm a 40-inch chest, so I would probably be looking at a medium in this jacket opposed to a large. But I would have been guilty of, I'll just buy a large, because that's what 40 inches usually collates to in modern days speak.
I suppose the other option is, when the shop's open, get down to your local dealer.
Get down to your local dealer, and I tell you what, I think that would be an absolute blessing in disguise. When the shop's open, get down to your local dealer. They'll be more than happy to see you, because they've been sat for the past year talking to themselves. I'm pretty sure if you get down to your local dealer, once this pandemic's lifted, you might find yourself getting more than just the one cup of tea while you're making your selection. Think about what you're wearing it. What are you going to wear it with? Are you wearing it over the top of anything? Do you want to have it rolled up in your bag and then just put on over the top should you get caught in a shower? Or are you going to be wearing it as your main stocking jacket or field jacket? Get your hands in your pockets as if you're going to grab a bunch of cartridges and try and take them back out of your pocket, because there's nothing worse than when you're on that glorious 12th and you put your hand in there and it's fine going in, but when you've got 2 cartridges in your hand you can't get it back out. You know, these are all things to try. It might look good, but is it practical? Is it fit for purpose? And is it fit for your style of shooting?
We'll be hearing more from Jonathan in the coming weeks, talking bearskins and how Fieldsports Nation members will be in with a chance of winning one of his handmade shooting jackets. To find out more about JM Clean Cut Tailoring, head over to Facebook, Instagram or his website.
From off the peg to made to measure. So some people have their clothes made for them.
Don't look at me like that.
Some people don't. Are you a normal shape?
Am I a normal shape? Are you a normal size? Are you a normal human?
Are you normal?
Most definitely.
Do you have
not.
pokey outfits?
Unfortunately.
Let's talk about this jumper. So if you're going to buy a jumper
Yeah.
from, I don't know, Marks and Sparks, what would you?
Marks and Sparks.
I don't know.
Oh, darling.
Where would you?
We can tell
What size would Rebecca get for you for Christmas if you were going to have a Christmas jumper?
Probably Mark F.
What's one of them?
Mark up from Mark E.
That's rubbish.
It's good.
No, you XXL, XL.
I'm not telling you how many X's I am. Again, it depends. I mean,
Does it go? I mean, what? Yeah. What's the largest jacket you've ever?
Largest jacket,
Yes.
probably a 4XL.
Okay.
Or maybe a 5.
Right. Do you?
But that's the trouble is I do have quite a large and ample bosom, and some reasonable shoulders. So yeah, this is always my problem. I'm quite wide as well.
Do you find buying clothes difficult?
Yes, and the trouble is as well, where I'm wonky, is if you get a certain length of trousers, you can have, because I've got one leg shorter than the other as well. So yeah, you get that disparity there. So it really doesn't go well.
They're not really catering for that market, are you?
They're not
mainstream, are you?
They're not catering for consummate penguin. No.
Okay. Do you think that there could be more done for the larger gentleman when it comes to
Yes,
hunting,
clothe the
clothing?
fat bloke properly. No, 100%. I think it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of clothing on the market, and I think you've just got to find something that fits and suits and that you're comfortable with.
So it could be a particular brand that works for you.
I think so. A lot of the brands do come up quite small, and some brands, vice versa. So I think it is just, unfortunately, one of those cases. You've just got to get used to the brand or get used to the sizing of certain brands and understanding it, because it's.
But do you notice a difference between brands?
Oh, massively. Yeah, massively so.
You have no idea. I think that's the point. You have no idea. 50 in one brand could be a 54 in another brand.
But even saying 50 and 54, I mean, I know you're talking about Harkeela here, aren't you?
Yeah. So to me, I know from years of dealing with Harkeela, I know exactly what fits me. Yeah. But if I go to another brand, you haven't got a clue.
I know,
and that's the problem. And
it doesn't marry up, does it?
Yeah, and also we have to deal with different climates, weather, summer, winter. It is a nightmare.
I spoke to one of the manufacturers about this, and they were saying that to actually receive a good back and then repackage it and send it back out again, I think they said either 12 or 14 pounds to turn it round, because they can't have a product like any of these two looking as if they've been used before. So it's got to go out spotless, because the tags might have been taken off, the bag might be ripped, you know, it's just not folded properly. And that's a lot of money. So you'd imagine that they'd be putting a lot into making sure that the sizing was pretty accurate, or the information was out there that was pretty accurate, wouldn't you?
But again, I think you know, sizing in the brands again is there, but it is just the disparity between brands.
Also, another thing they were talking about was cuts. So, for example, it might be quite high under the armpit, you know, but you wouldn't know that, because you know, oh, that brand, I know that I'm a large, but you know, it's tight there, or it's tight suddenly across the shoulders, or you want a layering system. Again, it's like, how much bigger do you go if you want to actually have a layering system? So there's lots of...
It is very difficult.
Well, I filmed with Nigel from Ridgeline in the summer, and here he is talking about actually this jacket, the Monsoon jacket.
So this is a Ridgeline Monsoon jacket. Again, we know that not everybody wants to wear a smock, but people do want that protection that the smocks offers and the fabrics that we use. It's a 10,000 hydrostatic head and a 5,000 breathability. It's exactly the same fabrics as what we use on the smock. We've got the two hand warming pockets, which have a waterproof zip down the bottom here. Then we've got the binocular pocket here with the dome closures. We've also got a nice high collar, and also the functional hood with its 3 points of adjustment, and also the wire in the front as well. We've got Velcro cuffs, although there's no neoprene cuff on the inside. This allows the garment to breathe a little bit better with the flow of air circulating inside it. But with this year, we've also decided to introduce it in our new camo, the new dirt camo. And initial reports are from the guys that we've got up using it up on the hills in Scotland, is it blending very well with the environment up there.
Proper solid sort of stalker jacket, isn't it?
I grew up with camo. I love camo, and I think this is a really, really nice camo. And you know what? It does the job as well.
This is your design. This is a Highland Outdoors design, a Ridgeline designer.
This is a Ridgeline stroke Highland Outdoors design. We did design it in-house. We stripped everything back and then built it up from the beginning. Also registered, so registered it as a trademark, a dirt camo for Ridgeline, being used in the UK. Not in New Zealand yet. We're still yet to convince them guys down there.
The most important thing, Nigel, this stuff works.
It does what it says on the tin, and it's built to last as well. We've spoken to guys at the shows that have had this gear, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. And although, you know, it's probably not the main aim of a manufacturer to make sure that the gear lasts forever and ever, we like to pride ourselves in the fact that we're producing gear that works and people have confidence in it, and will, you know, spend their hard-earned cash on it.
Thank you, Nigel. Now, for a number of years, in fact, since we began, I've been getting abuse for making too much noise in the field and ruining all their hunting opportunities, which I think is utter nonsense. But anyway, can I get anywhere near these two with their hearing protection on, wearing a very different type of jacket?
So I think for our last challenge, I think it's only fair that we put David through the mire, seeing as he does it to us constantly. And I don't know about you, but obviously over the years filming with David, there's one thing that always comes up when we're all talking to each other, and that is just how bloody noisy he is. Yeah, no, exactly. So I think it's only fair that he has to try and sneak up on us, because I don't think he's actually going to be able to do it. Yeah?
No.
Well, this is how you should always stalk when you're with us. That's it. Contenders, ready?
This might not be an accurate test.
This is another problem we have.
Can we go again?
See, Stealth is my middle name. Right, anyway, right. Just looking at some of the comments we've had over the last couple of shows. So 12 Doug Reed says, yawn. That's not very good, is it? So that's not very nice, but we've had some very nice ones indeed. A lot of people appreciating what we're doing, so thank you very much. So Reorg says, it talks about copper. Apparently copper kills trees. Does copper kill trees? I don't think it does kill trees.
I don't think it does. I think it's an old wives' tale. So yeah, it doesn't kill trees apparently.
Yeah, because that was something obviously we've been dealing a lot with, is the copper test, which is ongoing. How's it going?
It's not bad. We've got nearly 200 animals on the ground, which is fantastic. And we're hoping to, within about 3 weeks, have 250 animals on the ground and 100 chest shots. So it's probably one of the most comprehensive lead-free tests ever made. So watch this space.
Tim Pilbeam, MBE. Anyway, Darren Barkham says, great film, really interesting. Would like to see how copper works in 22LR and 17HMR. Are we going to play with that?
I think we will do actually. There's several manufacturers now are producing rimfire lead-free. So I think our next little project, Dave, is going to be actually try a few out.
Cool. No one's mentioning price, according to James Turner. So, price of the ammo. A lot of people saying, well, it's all very well and good, but it's so expensive. It's not going to work.
And I think there's every cause to be concerned. From my research, it does seem to vary an awful lot. Some rounds are, I think it's pretty cheap, it's about £35. It does ramp up to about £60. But it does seem to me that a lot of the rounds are going to be around the £40 to £45 mark, which is probably the same price.
But that, you're talking about box of 20 there?
Yes, yes, for a box of 20. So it's probably about the same as premium ammunition. So at the moment, it seems to be there's not that much more expensive.
When are we going to draw this to a conclusion, do you think? How long are we going to give it?
I think that I'm giving it another 3 more weeks, so towards the end of the fallow season, and then we're finished. So yeah, so not long. We're nearly there.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Mutt and Jeff, for your efforts today. Thank you very much for your comments and questions. Please keep them coming. If you want to find out more about the Fieldsports Nation membership, then go to our website. Thank you very much for watching.